Is it more going to be like more office things, or going to be like the kind of freelancers work to do in their futures? We believe that things. After that, we won by making Podsnap result as a mandate for the children educations. It's decreasing the unrelevant standard of smart childrens that in our world, in this status quo, we believe that many children who doesn't have follow the capability, follow how the curriculum work, every time they call us stupid childrens, whether the fact that every children is smart in their own way, that every children have smart, they can be smart in their own capabilities and their own interests, that sometimes you can judge people because you can judge people as stupid because they can do mathematics, but maybe they can sing, or maybe they're really good at sport, swimming or something like that. That's why by making this Podsnap as children educations, we want to make everyone realize that children is smart in their own way and deleted the standard of unrelevant smart children's, ladies and gentlemen, like that. After that, we believe too, the standard itself, making one children's who maybe have the capabilities to follow the old curriculum that already being set by the government, more and more smart, become smarter than everyone, and they get advantage by them because they understands what the curriculum work, what they gonna do, and what things that already teach by the teachers, because at that time they already like it. I mean, they have interest to learn about that. But in other way, we just forgetting the fact that many children who doesn't have interest in this kind of curriculum going to be just wasting their time. They doesn't learn everything because they doesn't capable, and at the first time they doesn't want to learn about these things because this really different with their own interest. That's why by making it, we just make this advantage for children who doesn't follow how the curriculum it works. After that, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that technology can be wrong, but the situations of Podsnap result is less likely to be wrong because they taking informations by scientific, not only by one perspective, not only by how the government or a company that going to make this artificial intelligence to take their informations, but taking from the children's things, the parents' things, and how the improvements that going to give better secure career in the futures. That's why I really suppose these motions to stand. Thank you.
Thank you for the fine speech. Now moving on to Leader of Opposition.
Okay, am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Okay. My preferred gender pronoun is she or her. My POI preference is through chat because I will open the chat box. So yeah, if you have any POI, please send it through chat. Okay, so I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so honorable educators, OG came to this motion by saying that personalized curriculum that's based on Podsnap's prediction will lead into children have options on what they like to study or not. But we believe that it's wrong in the first place, because personalized curriculum will only have what was predicted in each children's capacity. So when OG say that, oh, we like each children to choose something that they want to pursue, choose something that they want to they like to study, and so on and so forth. But in the first place, personalized curriculum will instead limit your options into only learning things that will maximize your capacity based on what was predetermined from the Podsnap's prediction. So, but even if we go with OG's case, where children, can pick subject based on their interest, we believe that that's already happened in status quo. In status quo, for example, in Indonesia, in high school, high school already give you choice to choose between like science and social class, and even in university, you can basically choose anything you want to learn, anything that you like to learn, as long as you can achieve it by working harder to go into the prodi that you want to study in university. So we believe that even if OG wants OG goal is to let children to study what they like, it's already happened in status quo, and we believe that it's already enough. And they believe that children have different capabilities, and OG wants children to have their capabilities to be maximized. But it seems that OG forgot that sometimes, or even like most of the times, what we like or what each of us like and what we can do doesn't align at all. Like for example, I like drawing. I like to pursue art career, but I have no natural talent at that specific ability. So most of the time, people don't have natural talent for something for something that they like to pursue instead. So OG case will instead limit the choices of career or curriculum for the children who wants to pursue something that is not in their capability, or they don't have any natural talent in that specific career or ability. Instead of telling us they want children to pursue what they like, in which it will be more aligned with our case as opposition, as it's already happened in status quo, OG should tell you why is it much more important for these children to have limited options and to have their capability to be maximized for a better kind of future based on Podsnap prediction, but in the trade-off of limited option. Okay, so going on into my argument, is there any POI? No. Okay. So Podsnap's predictions of natural talent is based on three things. One, innate ability like trait or characteristics. Two, heritable trait that came from the parents. And three, the demography, like the social class or geographical or the environment that they were born. So we believe that it means Podsnaps heavily depends on birth lottery, in which each people state on being born from what kind of parents or what kind of environment are already predetermined, something that they cannot change in the first place. So why does birth lottery will become important in this motion? Because it will clearly shows you how OG's proposal going to create an even bigger gap between the social class. People who were born from poor family will not be able to change their life to be better, because then their career option or curriculum already predetermined based on from those criteria that I already talked about. So I have two main points in my argument. The first is the justification on why birth lottery is unfair. And the second one is I will prove to you why status quo is already enough. So going on into my first argument, the justification. Okay, so we believe that Podsnap's prediction heavily depends on the birth lottery itself. Birth lottery means that you cannot choose what kind of parents that you will be born to. Are they rich? Are they poor? Are they educated? Are they abusive, and so on and so forth. And people also cannot choose where they were born. Were they born in developed countries? They cannot choose that. It means there is a birth lottery that's involved in this motion. So we believe that birth lottery is not fair at all, because some people will born in richer families, some people will born in poorer family, and some will be born in developed countries, some in developing or underdeveloped countries. So we believe that when Podsnap's prediction is based on something like demography or like heritable trait from the parents, it means that, for example, someone who was born in a poor family, they will have the Podsnap will most likely to predict them to have for example, labor jobs in the future, because in the first place they were poor, they don't have any financial capacity to achieve education that is higher than what their environment, and they don't have any, for example, because the parents never achieve a higher education, and the trade itself is it's a heritable trait in which the children are predetermined to not have any capability to get a higher education. It means that this will limit the option for this poorer family to achieve a higher education. And so the second point of my argument is that SQ is enough. So we believe that in SQ, there is no career or curriculum limitation. Even if maybe limitation on accessibility to achieve certain education and so on and so forth still exists, at least everyone have the same chances if they work hard enough, just like in the status quo. So what kind of work status quo is right now? So we believe that it is a work where a person that born from poor family can pursue a higher career. Already 6 minutes, sorry. A person that born from poor family can pursue a higher career. They would not be limited just because of their birth lottery, because we in OG case, it means that the poor person will be predetermined to have a less chance to get fine education because of financial, and for example, they have the less chance to be CEO, for example. It means that they cannot change, they cannot bring a betterment toward their lives. And so as OO, we proud to oppose things.
Thank you for the speech. A kind reminder to all of you, if you want to ask POI to your opponent, please give them 5 seconds, like what Kak Chia said before. Yeah. DPM, you can continue your case.
Excuse me, do you mind if I go to the toilet for maybe around 2 minutes?
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay, am I audible? Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, to one. Okay, I have several rebuttals before I start to going to my argument. First, the opposition side of the house say that it will only give in our world it will only give curriculum that limit the option of the student, and then they say that in their world there's already been science and social class that is enough for them in order to make their choice in the education system. First response is talking about the current solution, the status quo about science and social class. I don't think that it's something that is effective because the science and social class it's still too a big. It's the specification is still too big, and as a result, the students still unable to determine what they like or what they want to be in the future. And it is showed by there are a lot of there are a lot of science class students who at the end choose the social majority in the university. So it proves to you that actually the current limitation that is exists in the current status quo is not effective, because initially, since they are in the elementary school, they has been shaped to be learning everything, and as a result, when they are asked to be limited in the senior high school, they are unable to choose. That's why I don't think that it's something effective. And then talking in our curriculum, even though it's true that we limit the option of the student, but we think that it's something that is so much better rather than giving them all of the material to them and making them unable to choose what they want to be in the future. In our side, we think that it is much better because at least the student have specified talent or specified majority that they have been honed since they are getting into the educational platform like school or in the school. That's why I think that the trade-off is still something that is acceptable. And second of all, I don't think that it's an exclusive thing that is happening in our side, because I think that even they say that we limit the option of the student, but I think that it's also happening in the government side of the house, because they also limit the student from learning what they want, because they are giving them all of the material when the students are not capable of learning all of them. It means that they also limit the choice of the student to be better at one subject or one specification. And then the second rebuttal is talking about, they say that there will be gap between minority and majority, it will be so much bigger, but they don't explain at all why in their world this gap will not be existed or less likely to be happening. Because I don't think that it's something exclusive, because even though in their current curriculum, those rich people will also dominate, right? Because this the support coming from these rich people is so much bigger. For example, they get course, they get maybe special lesson from the teacher because they are able to pay it, rather than these minority people who don't have money and they need to learn all of the subjects that might be hard, and they have no money in order to hire a private teacher or something like that. I don't think that it's something exclusive, because there's also gap happening in their world. Well, in our side, I think that it will smaller the gap, because this minority people or these poor people uh, have the genetic support where they only have to learn something that is already been inherent in their body, and as a part of consideration that actually this Podsnap prediction is also based on the inherent ability of the children, not only from the social class or the job of their parents, right? So maybe we cannot fully conclude that actually there will the prediction will be just like what their parents are right now, or what is their parents' social class right now, because there are also inherent ability that is part of the consideration in the prediction of this Podsnap prediction. And then jumping to my arguments, why in our world there will be better educational environment for those vulnerable actor. In this case, we believe that the vulnerable actor is those underperforming students who cannot suit up with the current curriculum, because we can see right now that there are a lot of underperforming students who cannot suit up with the curriculum that is too many for them. As a result, they cannot they cannot join the discussion, they cannot join the study at class, and as a result they hate of studying, they don't know what should they do in the future because they are confused of there are too many lessons that they should be learning. That's why we think in our world this condition will less likely to happen, because we have been limit what they we have limit the subjects that they need to learn, even though maybe there is a possibility of them to be choosing another to have another what they want to be, but I think that it will be less likely to happen because the prediction of this AI must be developing during the time. And second of all, I think that it's still much better rather than in the current status quo where they need to learn all of the subjects, and at the end they have no majority of what they want to learn to be learning, because there are too many things that I have been learning since they are inside the elementary school. That's why I think that it will provide a better educational environment for these people, because for example, one layer, there will be less feeling of being and less feeling of inferiority, because in the current status quo there are a lot of underperforming students who are feeling of inferior because they cannot suit up with the current curriculum, so they are considered to be stupid by the other student who are smarter, or even by the teacher itself, because we can see that there are a lot of teachers who are being lazy to teach the underperforming student because of the slow response and slow understanding. That's why I think that is something that is really harmful for the future of this underperforming student, because in the future if it keeps going on, then they will have no confidence in order to be a better person. And I think that in our world we will give them more confidence, because they will only learn something that they have been they are talented in. So there will be no inferiority, no superiority. All of the students will be able to be learning what they like and be developing in what they love. I think that it will make them more prepared to join the career when they are graduated from this educational platform. That's why I think that it will be creating a better educational environment for all of these underperforming students. Thus, we are very proud to propose.
Thank you for a speech. Now, moving on to rest the case of opening opposition. DLO, time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I will begin my debate in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in the world where the OG case said that we live in the world where the AI actually decide our future, decide our capability, and what the basis of that actually, what is the actually of them decided, the AI actually decided it. It's only because the stereotype, ladies and gentlemen. Why I say that this is only because the stereotype? Look, that they said that your the reason why you capable to do this because your parents is good at this. This is only the stereotype. Like when your parents is good at English, you also good at English. When your parents is good at teaching, then you also good at teaching. It's only a stereotype. And also second, they about the demography, that if you uh, 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 actually have a good economic family, then you can also explore more career choices because you have a really good family. Before I go to my argument about all of these cases, I will go to rebut some things from the opposition. That they said that people will feel inferior because people will get a lot of kind of material in their high school and they will inferior and feel stupid. But that's not only in our, there's no inclusivity in our, there's no exclusivity in our side, because the people in OG's case also inferior because, but in a different way, because they feel from the beginning the choices are limited to them and they cannot do other things even though they want to explore other things. Therefore, they inferior to actually have a brave because they didn't have the capability to explore other things. They feel that they didn't brave enough to achieve what they actually want. And second, even if they actually feel inferior, but okay, enough about this. And second, they also talk about the social economic gap. And what we want to say that we didn't accept the social economic gap is actually exists in our world because OG case is only make it worse because they will limit the choice of the poor people because again, the Podsnap prediction is only basis on the stereotype like demographic, the natural talents or innate ability, the demographic and demographic problems is really the main problem. Therefore, the poor people only can be deemed as a labor or blue collar workers, such as my partner already said. And also they also tell us that they have they in our case we need to learn all material because actually we actually want still searching and explore, and it's not happen in government side of the house. And in our case, even if we actually still search and explore in the university, actually we can choose whatever we want. We can choose what actually we want to go through more, what actually the talent and the passion we can think about it ourselves without the help of this technology and etc. And also in OG case, what happened actually to the poor people? The poor people didn't have the capability to actually achieve more than the stereotype is already exists. But even if because they actually have the capability, they can work hard. There are already free education system in our side, scholarship and etc. But what happened if even if they actually didn't have the capability is what actually happened is they have the loose mindset because they actually cannot be different from what they actually are. Therefore, is there any PI?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, poor people going to get more advantage because we try to generalize sport and art as educations that in status quo is limited to some rich people, but by making it generalized to get free sport and educations or art educations in our world.
Okay. Before that, I will go first to my argument that first that the first thing that I want to say that all this AI system is only a stereotype, and therefore we need in our case of system, people can actually do decide what actually they capable of, what actually they want to do it. And even in our current system, we actually have provide some mechanism that already exists, such as free education and etc., that will actually can help them if they want without ever limiting their choices. And what happened if what happened the ability of these children is actually only predicted by the stereotype that you have the mindset that what you can and you cannot do from the start, that ideally people are still searching and explore what they want to do, what they can do without limitation. And in this kind of system that all of them decided from the start, you have the talent only for singing, and then you only have but if you have interest to become a pilot, you have a lossy mindset that you cannot be anything you want, and people in our current our current world still have a lot of choices and freedom to explore. And second, that talents can be different than passion. Ideally, people can achieve the career path or education they like. In reality, they cannot do that in government because their formal education is decided based on Podsnap results. It's not that they are the one who decide their future, but some AI technology, and they want to be a if they want to be a politician, they cannot do it because even though they didn't have a negotiation in public skill in a negotiation or public speaker, but they have the heart that they want to make a better country, and that's what they need to become a politician. They have to strive for it. They have a passion for it, and why passion is also really important to strive people to do something, because talent without passion is nothing. Ideally, talent cannot manifest if they didn't actually really work hard. They good at sport and they really put a lot of time for it. As that's why they become an athlete. And passion can make them really put a lot of effort for that, and they because they really like it. And we need to respect. And even if they didn't actually really have talent, we need to respect them for what actually they want to do, because every individual have the right to choose what actually the future, because because our future is not in the hands of this technology, but our future is in the hands of ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now, closing government, member of government, you can continue the debate.
Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. For the very first beginning of this debate, all misinterpretation about our mechanism in the podcast misinterpretation about formal education to be based on the podcast result system. And OG never and OO think that we as the government will not give the place to the people who poor, who have a different demographic place and so on and so far without any analysis for the very first beginning. And say that if we are from the family that doctor or physically or we like English, the children we will mandate to do that. But in OG, in CG, we will clarify that our mechanism is not like that. OG is mental interpretation for the very first beginning. We ask the crossing government will give you the mechanism. Will give you the mechanism that make the debate clear in this today. We will first of all we will give you the task for all of the student in this society, and after we give them the task, and then we see an analysis by the demographic and the background of the talents itself, and after that we give them a different treatment to each other, each children or group in our status quo. Our mechanism is not like or say like we will give children mandate without any analysis. We will give the task to prove where the capability for the children is at. And the second, social discourse or gap will happen in also in their quest. Why? Because first, if we are make all people in same group, for example from Papua, we will give them some education like people in the for example like in Samarinda, or we can give we let them to from the Papua to the Samarinda. It will create a social discourse too. For example, if you are a poor people in the high, you are in the same school with the high people, it will be more because they are different with us, and this social discourse will be harmful in their proposal rather than us, because we have the same demographic. We can bullying each other because we have same background and so on and so forth. And also the patient, they say the patient without talent will use us. Yes, we believe that, but how can we know about our patient without any analysis? And how can we ask the children who not even to know our patient without any task? The proposal of opening opposition will is a kind of useless because of first they say we cannot increase the life of the people who have who have for example poor people. We as the government still think about them. We will still give them some education, but in different way. For example, in the Papua, who don't know about the technology, we cannot force them to have the curriculum with the people in the Samarinda who have interest in the technology and so on and so forth. They have a lot of facility. How about the people in the different demographic? For example, in America, in a Black Lives Matters, they never have any technology. They never the country never care about them. How we can make the same curriculum with the people like that, we need to create a better world. We need to think about them in the end of the day. And also in our case, it's not like say it, it seems like government doesn't care about society, and they think we will not give education to people. We will to people who in the poor layer. We still give them education in different way. We still with their characteristic depends on what their talents or their capability and so on and so forth. Okay. Before that, I would like to give you why. First, why minded children's formal education to be based on podcast is very important to maximize their talent, and also why this is can more on target, and also children will know what they need and not they want, and also we will or create a world who focus on one education, and in the end of the day it can be good in our society, and we will take our benefit. In our current status quo, most of the children right now often want to choose what the best thing for them. Moreover, in this social point, there's a lot of parents who doesn't know about their children. For example, they doesn't know what the children want. They just force the children to be what the parents want, and so on and so forth. And also the children in immature, they will in age of try, which what's the age of try mean? It's means like you will try what you like, not what you talent in the end of the day. And if this is and if and what happened if we let this kind of the proposal still happen in our society? In the end of the day, they will wrong to choose what they want, and in the end of the day, what they will boring to the education that they choose. Moreover, in our curriculum, there is a lot of things that we need to taking. For example, in the kindergarten until the senior high school, we need to know all of our lesson in the end of the day, and it will make the children boring. It's why we don't see like Japan, for example, they choose what they want, and in the end of the day, what they will enjoy what they have, what they talent, and so on and so forth. And why this is can more on target? Because first is children is in matter. They will by my analysis before, they will in age of try, and then they will try everything, then they will choose what they like, and sometimes it will becomes bad. Moreover, there is no parenting, good parenting who will guide them. And for example, they like dance but they talent in basketball, they will try to choose dance and so on and so forth. But in the end of the day, because it's not their talent or their passion, because they don't know everything, they will boring, and in the end of the day, what they will fail to be good in what they choose. And we uh we as the government will give you the proposal that can mandate you by the test and so on and so forth, that can make you know what your patient from the very first beginning. We will show you that this is your patient, you need to try it, rather than let you try everything to wasting your time. And second is, if we know what our talent, we can maximize from the very first beginning what we have, without any without any without any wasting time. For example, for the very first beginning, when we are doing the task, during the test of podcast itself, and then we know our talent is in, for example, in the bahasa, and we have a and we are doing great in bahasa, and in the end of the day we can focus on that, and in the end of the day we can be do that with our patient in the end of the day. And we believe the second is we need a different treatment towards each other who have a different demographical and so on and so forth. We know that every people have their own special, and also every people have a different background and also different demographical and so on and so forth, that we need to make them we need to create a enjoy and the environment to them. And we believe by our proposal it can be like that. Why? Because the first is different demographic. We have a different demographic, for example, like Indo and America, Malang and Samarinda, Papua and Samarinda, we have a different background and so on and so forth. That means we need to make them suitable to their. That's why this motion today should be stand.
Thank you for the speech. Please be mindful of your time and do not exceed the time limit of 7 minutes 20 seconds. Now, member of our opposition, you may begin your speech.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, if you have any POI, just write it to the chat box and do not unmute yourself. And I think that I'm going to provide one section for the POI. I'll wait for a minute. Okay, so I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. We think all explained the debate on which saying that the systems based on birth lottery whatsoever in the government world. But we think it is dangerous to be brought in this debate, especially by the opposition case, because it attacks their own case. Simply, 1. In status quo, children also be benefited from the birth lottery, and the birth lottery also exists in the opposition world. The one who get the top rank in class in the opposition world is necessarily the one who inherently smart, right? If they insist coping with this kind of case, they need to explain us what something special in the birth lottery that given by the government world. Second, within the resolution given by the government, also accessible for everyone. The claim of the status quo is more accessible is not necessarily true. Simply the government also not giving addition fees or cost for particular cases whatsoever. They need to extend this more. We think that the also need to read the context slide. That is to say, it is recognized that it recognizes your innate ability, heritable traits, and demography. Thus, debating about technicalities in such debate not that important. Even if they say that it assuming as a feasibility whatsoever. Anyway, what to the goal of the closing oppositions? CO wants a world in which we enable the children to learn by the experiences and not necessarily pointing on capacities whatsoever. That is to say, CO stays in current education systems in which everyone not mandating that tool and educations be as regular as today. For example, operating with a lot of aspect, operating with a lot of subjects whatsoever. We think it's bad, but CG is talking about how do the parenting going to be good at their sides. Even if they want to operate in this, they need to explain it more. But government the government will place tenses. Rebuttal are going to be integrated. Two things that I'm going to explain inside of my speech. One, why the current education better off without that tool? We think the world of government giving people less learning experiences. That is to say, since everyone be classified in your safe zone, we think it gives these children less experiences of failure in educations, in which you do not necessarily need to be cooperative, but also need to realize that it is human, that we all not that good in every subject. CO got the harms on how we give the students, maybe these people upset or sad, since they are not good at those many aspects or subjects by simply people calling you stupid, for example. But by that, we think it give you betterment towards those students, simply by people calling you stupid. That's even without the tool, we can know that we are not good at it and what thing that we are good at. And it is time to change the other subject to develop if people calling out. Or simply, you can also challenge the mockery by improving more on those kind of bad subject that you are on. In our world, by people not being classified on that particular groups and everyone not knowing which their capacity good at, their education is inclusive. That is to say, the government easier and more accessible on giving these people the basic education instrument. That putting a lot of resources also happen in our side. University also based on choices. That is to say, if they choose certain majoring, even if they don't have the capacity, at least they will strive for it and the capacity can be built. I think the rest of the teams never realize that capacity is something which can be developed and built and not necessarily inherent. Yes, we do concede that there are people having birth lottery in both worlds, but it just means those lucky people or have inherent rates start differently in the starting lines. People who know from the late start also can chase also can chase the bird lottery that they were able. For example, not all people were inherently good at debating, but everyone can learn on debating and can chase those who are good at debating inherently. It also do like in playing violin. In playing violin, there are people who are inherently good at playing violin, but we are the one who are not inherently good at playing violin. We can also learn in playing violin by giving hard work whatsoever. When you lose an education of the CO, we think it gives you an inclusive value in which you are realizing that life is about imperfectionisms. Even when you are more passionate and you even have the capacity about it, you are not necessarily going to succeed in our right. Compared to the government will make the students not trying to develop their weak or the weakest aspect or even mechanize it by simply everyone already in their safe zones. By simply trial and error in our side, we think the students likely to dig what do they want and they good at simply because everything is inclusive in our side and we're trying to make them grow based on their experiences. But before I move on and POI. Moving on to the second argument is, in case it's using the tool, why the education is felt for the students. We think the OO give this kind of arguments a bit, but lack of explanation on how it more likely to realize, or how do the benefits likely to implement, and how do the further discourses about it. In the government role, of course, they're depending on whether or not the educations will prepare the base for the future of the children, especially in a work since the circumstances of the working field is a lot of different. For example, that is to say, both worlds want to providing the best education systems to make them accessible and compatible when they are in society that can be functional. Here's the thing though, within the resolution given by the tool is problematic at my aspect. That is to say, these education institutions mandated to have the particular tool, which means there is no one not using it or becomes the norm not using it. Notice it impacts the student future to the extent on how they building their career, right? That is to say, because they were specialized even from the base class or even from the base capability, it means they just emphasizing this capacity on it to the extent of maximum capacity whatsoever. OG keep talking on how we will be mocked simply because we are less clever whatsoever, which result because the current education teaching on the curriculum is really inclusive as well. But here's the benefit. On our curriculum, at least they are accessible with the basic capability with mathematics, for example. Even the government will say it is not necessarily, but we think at some extent it's beneficial. For example, when you are going to market and where you're trying to operate and maybe at the future that you're going to be a seller whatsoever. Notice the government model is bad. Simply when they come into the working field and is still able to place them by capacity as well, it means their specialty just be and only the one that they're being capacitated. Learning based on your curriculum is good. Don't get it wrong in the government role. But in the future, within the resolutions, within the world given by Gov is dangerous simply when all being computerized or robotized because it's being technologized, people really prone to be replaced by a robot or maybe by the competitions itself by the human. Two scenarios. One, when it comes to replaced by the robot, simply the employers wanted to make the systems as efficient as possible. Thus, for diminishing the wages, just hire the robot in the company. Those people which being replaced, and since everyone categorized by their capacity cannot cope with this, who from earlier day train on their capacity, only does their only choice is only competing with them and at least other competitive value as additions. This also enlarging the disparities in the society, especially for poor people, since they get no access to pick other competitive specializations whatsoever to building more their capacity, thus making them more valuable in the market and thus making them more accessible in the competitions field. Two, when it comes to competitions, we think it gives more fulfillment toward richer children simply because they have more lower trade-off. Since the tool able to track our capacity, we think it gives these people who are more accessible for developing the competitors. For example, you just access Bimbo or whatsoever, and poorer children just be in state and mediocreness. Simply they are not accessible on those facilities and be retarded as the one who able to develop the capacity more. Thus, in the working field, simply the employers wanted to hire the best and the richer people, have more developed capability. Simply they know their absolute best on which subject and now they're investing that much on it. And we think the only beneficiary is the rich people at the end of the day if we implement this kind of policy. That is to say, if you're providing more educations and you're providing more education that we can give a similar treatment to everyone, thus you have to vote for the closing opposition. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now to close the case of closing government, calling upon government whip.
Am I audible? Okay, my speech will start in 3, 2.
Sebentar. Ini
Oh yeah.
closing government Lucy lagi atau gimana?
Yes, Kak. I think my teammate is still have a lack of connection because of in their place still rainy and they can and she can join this.
Ini benar-benar nggak bisa di reconnect gitu atau gimana?
Wait, I will to call he first. How much time you will give me to waiting for my friends?
You have 3 minutes dari selesai member of opposition. I think it's lagi 2 menitan.
Okay.
Udah 3 menit, apakah sudah reconnect? Halo, Lucy. Am I audible?
You are, Kak.
Tapi to be honest Kak, kayak suaramu itu kecil banget di aku.
Sorry. Wait. Is it better now? Check. Ini Lucy hilang ya? Halo?
Halo,
Lucy?
Kak.
Ya. Gimana?
Belum bisa dihubungi sih.
You can Iron Man.
Oke. My speech. Apa tadi aku ngomong? Oke. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. For the very first beginning, opposition still have a misinterpretation to our mechanism that by saying that if we are got the if we are as the society have a different background and so on and so forth, we will still give them some tasks, and after give them some tasks, we also give them well the place that they will enjoy to have the what is that, they have enjoyed to learn or listen about the research itself. And we as the government rather than we wasting our time in experience which not guarantee that is your patient, it's really better to you to use your time to maximize what you have and what your patient for the purpose beginning. For example, if you are a talented, we believe that experience is still needed in our case, but we can take the experience from the another from the another, not from the formal, not from the formal education, because as the very first beginning, we believe that the purpose of the formal education is to increase your or build your characteristics and maximize what you have, what your talent at the very first beginning. Not yes, we believe we need to take, we need to looking for the experience, but we still have experience in our status quo. Because what? Because it doesn't mean if we are minded them to one of to podcast lesson system, it doesn't mean you don't learn again about mathematics. You don't learn again about PKN, for example, and so on and so forth. We still give you the basic lesson to you. For example, if you are a socialist or you are in EXA, you still have or need to learn about PKN, religion, and so on and so forth. That's mean that you still know about the basic of the lesson itself. Not like the opposition say that if you are in the, for example, you are got the how you are taking the social, you will not learn about mathematics and so on and so forth. It's not going like that in our proposal. And what the missing on this debate today, the opposition keeps saying that that it keeps saying that if we are give them in a group or define them into a group and so on and so forth, they still say that it can make a social discord, which is still happening in their proposal. And they even if in our worst case, even if we force the student to choose what they want, but in the end of the day, we can create a people who's suitable with their capability, rather than we wasting time to not to experience all of things which not we will use in the end of the day. For example, from the very first beginning, for your kindergarten until you senior high school, you need to learning about integral and so on and so forth, which is not your basic patient and so on and so forth. And then what is the useful of that? Why it is will be useless? Because some of the people who don't know about that, who don't like that, who don't have a patient on that, still need to learn about that. And in the end of the day, they will forget about what the lesson itself, and it will be useless your time. It's really better to you to have the what you like, what you patient for the very first beginning. For example, like Kevin Sanjay, he don't need to learning about the integral and so on and so forth, because basic on what they talent for the very first beginning. And that's kind of proposal that we want in our status quo right now, because we know that moreover in the developing country, they still have a lot of layer society that show you that there is a lot of social discord that happen in this, that is a lot of people not suitable with the curriculum itself. For example, the poor people need to have a same laptop with the rich people to run, which is we can which is that we can change the system to make them in a group that will not a social discourse. In the end of the day, we believe the social discourse will not happen in our social gap, with not happen in our proposal. Even if the social discourse will happen, it will be more harmful in the opposition proposal. Why? Because first is by the analysis that I say, the social gap in our proposal will be not happen. Why? Because first we will make them into a group, and in that group they have a same a background family, or a same capability, and so on and so forth, same hobby, and so on and so forth. That means that even if we give them a different treatment, but in the output we want to them to have the maximalize in their talent, and in the end of the day they still can live in the society with their own talent and talent and their capability. And also we ask the government, we will give you and in the end of the day the government will be believe in the society. The government will be the we will give the benefit to the three actors that gain in this debate. First, to the government, they have the belief in the society, because the society will think the government still think about the poor people, and so on and so forth. And for the children, they can maximize what they have, and they can more on target what they want, and also they can more focus on one education, and to build what they have in the very first beginning. And the third, to the parents who don't know the children, and somehow to the parents who don't know the children, and even if the parents know the children, they still they can the government will help them to guide the children to have a better future in the end of the day by what they have. Because we believe that if we are learn about our nature talent, we will be more focused on that, and we will more good on that. And in the end of the day, we can, in our society, we will have the people who really master on on what is it, we will have a people who have a master in any lesson, and so on and so forth. That's why we ask the government team believe our proposal will be better rather than opposition. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now, to close the debate, opposition whip.
Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Okay, hold on, let me just start on my timer. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, like what Prime Minister has claimed, that in status quo, children basically don't like the curriculum and then misbehaving. We think that that is not always the case, because child most likely do something bad and misbehaving, so on and so forth, possibly because it's their environment, such as society or maybe family's background, so on and so forth. Yes, we see that child as next generation to want to have to secure their future of their life. Therefore, in our side of the house, we believe that this kind of solutions is not going to make themselves to face the future and happy life like their side of the house claimed, because we think that in order to reach the good future is not as simple as freaking finger, right? Therefore, we see that in like what on Podsnaps only tend to limit their children what they want to do, what they limit the children that what actually they want to do, things that it can do. For example, we see that from here, post-naps is going to affect their career, such as losing job opportunities and etc. But in our side of the house, we think that what Prime Minister mostly only go around, every child has different interests, not every child capable to follow the curriculum. For example, we think that they haven't really tend to focus on what is the post-nap result look like at the end of the day. Therefore, like on what my first speaker has told you, that we are human, we are not good in every subject, right? Therefore, as that is should lead the child into explore other things what they're like in. Even they said every kind has like a different interest, for example, in math or in English, for example, and other, they think that they're not quite good at it cuts out because they're not interested. For example, we think that at the very least they still get the benefit since they already know the basic of math, English, and etc. We see that both side of the house, we believe the characterizations of this child themselves is like how this child has a lot of opportunity to step on what they haven't got, experience new things, and etc. That the point is they need to explore many things without being restricted to only follow this Podsnap, so on and so forth. We think that not all students can be based. Oh yeah, okay. And another aspect which is on their parents' genetic, for example, because in our side of the house, we believe that this kind of perspective only going to lead the students stay on their own line without able to cross other side of the other thing or any other capability they would like to achieve other side of their parents' cognitive ability, etc. Therefore, the most important thing coming from our side of the house, where like on my previous speaker has told you that in our side of the house we assume this will work anyway because there will be much easier to be replaced because this kind of specialization, so many people do not have enough incentive to study or learn other things. For example, in our side of the house, we would just stay on our current status quo that we are studying a lot of subjects because in order to achieve a better future for students is like once they graduated from school, for example, and in order to compete with thousands and million people in the world, get a better job, get a better positions, it doesn't require only one subject, right? We see that we would possibly take the opportunity based on what these companies want us to do, not only what we like. Therefore, in our side of the house, we believe that our education in status quo is enough that study a lot of subjects, even though at least makes the students to at least has a chances to develop more what they want, even for example, like if they want the other skills and ability to learn. Maybe in government side of the house, they think that it's good to defend this motion because this leads into things what students like, not gonna be wrongly allocated. But they forgot that the circumstances in the working field wouldn't be like that. There will be a lot of different because like what my first speaker has told you that, for example, in career, like it will be replaced, there will be lead into less opportunity in finding job because like what I said before, as soon as the company would rather use the robotic instead of human because they want to save up their funds, they think it will be more effective, these human resources will be replaced, right? And then what's actually mean by less opportunity? Therefore, based on this case, we believe that what children learn outside of this Podsnap would help them to get the chances because they are not only depending on it, they have other things to maximize their performances, so on and so forth. For example, in personalized like curriculum, this child can start to learn other things outside. Therefore, from here we see that what our side of the house wants in education, what was on the current status quo, is good for developing themselves based on their experience. For example, like what my first speaker has told you, like for example, in debate, not everyone are able to debate, not everyone good in it. So we can see how in this debate example, like we can't say how good someone in debate is only measured only by the social strata or demography or parents' genetic ability, right? We see that on this debate example, like it's not something coming from internal talent or internal like genetic talent, but how good people is measured can be built by how much they learn and train themselves, for example. So this case example shows to you that this genetical thing or based on Podsnap would not guarantee the child would get happier life, better experiences only based on this prediction, so on and so forth. So that's why in our side of the house, we would not mandate child formal education to be based on Podsnap result because it first it brought the huge limitations toward child. Second, this tool doesn't guarantee the children's good future, and for all these reasons, we are proud to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now, me and my panels will discuss this in Discord. For Gabriela and Himalaya Dewi, please go to Discord voice channel B6. I mean, thank you.
Oke, Kak. Wait a minute.